presents Adventures in Online Education.
Hello, friends. You're listening to SYS Presents Adventures in Online Education. I'm your host, Natalie Conway. Thanks for being here. On today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Edi Cox. Edi serves as the director for Low Country Virtual, an online school in South Carolina. She began her career as a high school teacher who was recognized for her innovative work. In her most recent role, she served as the executive director of online learning and instructional technology in one of the largest school districts in South Carolina. She is credited with launching one of the first district-led virtual programs in the state. In 2013, Ms. Cox was instrumental in the writing and submission of a Gates Foundation grant designed to help a district launch personalized learning efforts with a rollout of one-to-one devices to more than 43,000 students. She holds multiple degrees and has completed additional graduate-level coursework through Western Governors University, where I recently attended as well. Edi continues to stay current in the field by serving in a variety of roles with national organizations such as the Digital Learning Collaborative, Virtual Learning Leadership Alliance, and Quality Matters. She provided guidance in the revision to the national standards for quality as well. Today, Edi is going to inspire you. We will talk about the power of collaboration among districts and how important it is that we all learn from our collective mistakes and wins. We cannot do this work alone. So, are you ready? Let's learn something new. Welcome, Edi, to the podcast. I am so looking forward to speaking with you today. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Natalie. It's great to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
This is going to be so good. I think that Low Country Virtual is such a cool, one, concept, and two, program. And I'm really excited for you to share your work and what's happening in your state with our audience today. So let's dive in. First off, I love hearing educators' stories, how they got into the field, what brought them to where they are today. And you started out as a high school teacher, and now you are the director of a regional, highly collaborative online school. Can you tell us what your path looked like?
Sure, Natalie. So, as you said, I did start as a high school, actually a business education teacher, and that was many years ago, more years than I would like to share. And I began teaching at a time when technology was probably first making its way into the classroom. So, in my building, I guess I became kind of the go to for the technology help that teachers needed. Someone down the hall needed help. I was usually the one to run down and help them. At that time, when technology first came into classrooms, we were teaching teachers things about, I hate to say this, but how to use a mouse. And, it seems now like
Oh,
that
totally.
seems so foreign, so foreign. So I was in the classroom for almost 10 years and then had an opportunity to move to our district office and became a technology teacher for our district. So there were 6 of us who were responsible for ensuring that the technology was not only used, that the equipment and the hardware was used well, but that really it was used in curriculum in a really meaningful way for students. So that's probably one of the positions that I probably enjoyed the most, was really being hands-on with teachers, going in classrooms, doing model lessons, doing some team teaching on how to use the technology that teachers were provided. And in those days, the teacher was the only one with the technology. Our students didn't even have it then. So I've been around for, since the beginning, and it's really been really exciting.
I love hearing when teachers turn teachers of teachers, because I think that's so neat. And I find that really rewarding as well. So just personally connecting with you there. And I think that's awesome that you're able to take the skills that you learned and then so generously share them. And of course, anytime I hear about co-teaching, I'm always excited. So that's awesome.
Oh, so that was probably a stint in my career that I would say was most enjoyable, was that actually being in classrooms with teachers and doing that work. It's really funny how my career path has changed. While I've been in the same school system for many years, I took different paths and with different departments. I had an opportunity because of some of the technology. Our district was embarking on a huge building program where we were building almost like 27 new schools over an 8-year period. So I had the opportunity to work in that division for a while. So I went from training teachers to actually training architects and contractors how to use the software the school district used to manage our building program. So that was kind of a diversion away from classroom instruction that I took for about 8 years.
That's so cool. You're like an original instructional designer. You're like the first. That's so
So
cool.
it was really strange working with classroom teachers, and then I ended up in a hard hat walking construction sites. So that was really interesting.
I love it.
Most recently, and Natalie, I think this is what you mentioned, has been my role in the last few years is working with the Low Country Education Consortium. That is some work that really started in the planning phases long before COVID and the pandemic came around. But the Low Country Education Consortium is a group of districts. It's actually 8 districts in the Low Country region of South Carolina. Those 8 districts really wanted to be able to collaborate on various projects and work together on things that were really important to their students and to their communities. Several of those districts were very large districts in our state. One is actually the 3rd largest district in our state. And some of the other districts, as a part of that work, were very small. And they knew that they had a lot that they could learn from each other. So they took on various projects, and some of those projects they would really, that was before my time, they would share their expertise with each other and share resources. And then the pandemic came along, right? And as part of the pandemic, online learning came to the forefront.
It
And one
did.
thing those 8 districts decided was, we really need to take advantage of this opportunity and not just offer a remote learning opportunity like an emergency learning for students, but we know this is something that many of our students can really take advantage of outside of the pandemic. We know that students are unique, and our brick and mortar school may not be the right setting for every single child. And these districts knew that alone and trying to do that by themselves would be a big lift for them, right? So some of the smaller districts,
Yes.
they may not have had the district staff or others to help build a virtual school program. So, members of the leadership team for the consortium, there was one person representing each of the 8 districts, met weekly. They developed policies and procedures for starting a K-8 virtual program, and that's where Low Country Virtual was born. We are in our 2nd year now with the K-8 program.
Woohoo!
Ooh, we survived year 1. And it was, we serve the greatest families ever. But it has just been such an honor to be working with members of those districts. They are very, very involved in the day-to-day operations of the school. We meet with them weekly. So the consortium and the project of Low Country Virtual, that is one of the biggest projects of the consortium, is really at the forefront of their work for this year, and there are really big plans for things the consortium's going to do down the road. But I think their goal is to make sure that this online school is really of high quality, that we meet all of the standards for the national standards of quality for online learning, and that what we do, we grow this program very slowly and very deliberately so that we know that the curriculum that we're using is very engaging for students, and we know that the families that we're serving are really receiving a good education.
Absolutely. That is such a cool story. Your path is like traipsing over mountains and going over rivers. That's so neat to hear and very inspiring. I love being able to share educators' stories like these because I hope that it gives other educators some inspiration as well. Sometimes we feel like if we've gone into education, then you're stuck. maybe in a certain role or a certain position. And there are so many paths for you. And not that I want folks to be exiting the classroom or something en masse. We need our teachers, please stay. But there are also so many options if it's that right season in your life to do something a little different. I mean, to put on a hard hat and start training architects, go do it, because that's a once in a lifetime possibly opportunity. And so to grab those opportunities and to see how it's led you to where you are now and to the work with the consortium, I think that's just so wise and so heartening to hear that districts came together for mutual benefit of students. Across your state, within those 8 districts, that's perfect. Within a region, to be able to support the smaller districts with the funding and the resources of a larger district, and for that larger district to learn from the smaller districts how they do things and how they're really savvy, I'm sure, with what they have and their creativity with what they've been able to do. Just to bring all of that together and have that be for the benefit of kids across that region is really, really cool. And I know that a lot of states across the US struggle with that dichotomy of the maybe urban and rural area, or just the large area and the large but underfunded area, those kinds of things. And so to see a group of leaders come together and create the consortium and then start to act in such really progressive ways that are saying, okay, the COVID happened, online learning happened. Hey, wait, this wasn't all bad. Like, how are we going to harness it? We know folks are going to want to stay in this mode of education. How do we make this work for us? Like, just really cool, forward thinking, proactive thinking going on. How big is the Low Country virtual school, like in terms of numbers of kids and teachers?
So right now, our school, we're serving about 650 to 700 children each year, and that is in grades
Oh.
K through 8. So we've started really small intentionally. We know that, and I tell our school districts this all the time, that we know that our brick and mortar schools serve the majority of our students very, very well. There's, the majority of kids, and I would say 90, 95% of students really fit well into the traditional school model. But there's that small percentage of students who just need something different, whether it be because of scheduling, whether it be because of some behavioral issues, whether it be my family travels and I just need more flexibility in when I'm in school. So we know there's a small percentage of students who just need something different, and online learning just opens the doors for them. So we've really, really tried to be very strategic about students who are admitted to the program and make sure they're a good fit, because we all know not all students are a good fit for online education, right?
True. Yeah, very
True. I
true.
think we all learned that during the pandemic. Some folks say, "Oh, you can just teach them virtually." Well, it's a lot harder than it sounds, and it takes a kid who is self-motivated and really has that home support to do well and be successful. So we're just really proud of the program, and just look forward to where it's going to go in the future. And we're just really most proud of the work those member districts of the consortium are doing and working together. As you shared, it's not all about we can't do everything alone, and sharing those resources, sharing ideas, sharing teachers. Now, with the teacher shortage, we're thinking now that one of the projects could be even in 912. You have schools who struggle to offer an AP Chem class. Maybe they don't have enough students, or maybe they have trouble finding a teacher. So, what a great way for these districts to come together to maybe share a teacher among all 8 districts, put them in an online class. And, if people think strategically, you can really solve some of your issues with online learning, if people can just think outside of the box a little.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that creativity and that willingness to take a risk too. I think that's really important. I appreciate that you said that it's not a great fit for all kids. The brick and mortar classroom isn't perfect for everyone, but also the online classroom isn't perfect for everyone. And so finding the kids and the families for whom this will work, or, providing a hybrid model maybe where it works for certain things, those are just such wise words and ideas. And again, I'm just so excited to hear about districts collaborating in such a positive way. They're not competing. They are collaborating for the benefit of all the kids. And especially now, like you said, with teacher shortages, I think it's really important to get creative and think out of the box, like you said. And to do that is to share resources a lot of the time. So very cool. Very excited about the work of the consortium. Very excited about the work that you're doing with Low Country Virtual. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the sort of partnerships that you formed with organizations like the Digital Learning Collaborative or Quality Matters to really make sure that what you're doing with your online program is awesome, which it is. So we'll be back in just a minute. What's the one thing all online schools and programs struggle with? Student engagement and the ability to truly personalize interventions. How do we solve those problems? With the use of Admin Dash, a brand new Canvas LTI tool from SYS Education. Admin Dash allows online teachers to see a risk assessment score that proactively identifies students who may need more specialized attention or intervention, and offers a communication log that provides an outlet for complete transparency among teachers, admin, students, and families. At just 99 cents per student per year, and with no minimum price and no fees, you can't afford to not use Admin Dash. For more information about Admin Dash, contact sales at syseducation.org and start connecting proactively with your online learners. Welcome back, online educators. We are talking to Edi Cox today about Low Country Virtual and her online program. You know, in education, it is so important to continually strive to learn more, to do better. And as a result of that, new learning, right? I sometimes explain that teaching and medicine have a lot in common. We used to think we knew the best way to treat whatever condition, and now we know, whoops, nope, that is not actually. So we know better, we save more lives, we do better. We used to think, you know, for example, rote memorization was just like one and done. Let's do it that way. That's efficient, that's effective. And now we know better, and so we teach in better ways. Low Country Virtual is absolutely striving to improve continuously, to do better by students, and you absolutely do not do it alone. You've had a great, successful first year going into your second year. Why is it important to you that Low Country Virtual partners with organizations like the Digital Learning Collaborative, like Quality Matters, and is active in the pursuit of those national standards for quality? Why does all that matter?
Oh, wow, Natalie. I would say that
Big question.
big question. And I will say that partnering with these organizations, you absolutely cannot do this alone. Most importantly, I would say for anyone who's starting out on this journey or starting a quality online program, the first place to start is the national standards. For listeners who aren't aware of the national standards, there are actually three sets of standards that serve as a guide for those developing or starting online programs. There's the national standards for online programs, the national standards for online teachers, and the national standards for online courses. And I would say in building this program, representatives from our member districts really used all of those standards as a guide for the policies and procedures around which this program was developed. And I'm really proud of the work that they have done. And I'll say this is their work. It's not my work. It's my work to continue what they started. But they really did a fantastic job using those standards as a baseline. And we actually pull those standards out regularly. I think I've shared before that I keep a copy of those standards on the corner of my desk. And, you know, when we're developing a new curriculum or if we're looking at implementing new policies, a lot of times I'll refer to those standards and make sure that the decisions we are making are in line with what those standards suggest. So they really do provide a great roadmap for those who are looking to start a program or even those who may have started emergency remote learning during COVID. And they're trying to figure out now, how do I revamp this to really turn it into something that's of high quality, right?
Yes.
So those standards really provide a good guide for that. So in addition to the national standards of quality, Our organization is really involved in the Digital Learning Collaborative, or DLAC. DLAC is really just a plethora of experts in the field who have been doing this for many, many years. And I think we all learn from their successes and their challenges, right? And I think many of the experts in the field are so willing to share what they've done and what they've done that works and what they've done that maybe did not work out so well. So kind of helps you, not make the same missteps maybe they did based on what they share. And also the Quality Matters. Quality Matters is just a wonderful organization for course developers. Quality Matters puts out a set of standards for course development that really helps to ensure that online courseware really does meet all of the standards that are laid out in terms of engagement, how easy it is for students to navigate a course. There are certain specifics that should be in every course. A lot of folks who maybe don't have a lot of experience with online learning, some say, oh, you can just create an online course, put some lessons online. But I think we all know that really does not work for students.
Does not.
It does not. And it sometimes takes years to get a really good quality course. And it also takes revisiting that course every year to make sure you make edits and update that and keep it updated. And I say all those things to say that without the partnership with those in these national organizations, that's the key to making sure you stay on the forefront of how to ensure your program is of high quality. And, the memberships in those organizations is really, really invaluable.
I could not agree more. We've been talking more and more with folks this season from DLAC or from Quality Matters. Last season, we had Chris Volker on the podcast, and it is really cool to hear from such a variety of folks associated or involved with the organizations the same kind of message of like, yes, we have the standards. Yes, we know what's working right now. And so we're going to do that. But then also we're constantly revising, constantly revisiting, constantly updating. And then we're also sharing the stories of our flops, of the things that did not go well so that folks can learn from that. Because that's what we teach kids, right? We're going to learn from our mistakes. You have to mess up to learn. Otherwise, you're not learning. You're just, I'm giving you what to do and you're doing it. Like you've got to get out there and practice and figure it out. So that is just really neat for me and for our audience to hear that same core message. Like, yes, we are all sharing our collective knowledge and resources, but then also we're sharing what those things are that didn't work and then how to go back and revise and edit. And I completely agree with you. It takes so long to make a quality online course. I can remember the first time I created my 5th grade math course. I'm like, oh my goodness, if I look at that now, oh, those poor children, they were okay. We did all right. But, now they'd be way, way more engaged. You learn, right? Every semester, every month, every year. You learn new information and you do more with that. So I really appreciate those sentiments. And we will have links in the show notes to all of these resources and organizations that we're talking about so that if folks want to join any of them, they can, or just learn more about Quality Matters or DLAC or any of them, they'll be able to find that. Edi, this is so cool. This is very exciting work that you're involved in, and it's energizing me, and I hope our listeners are feeling that too. Like, yeah, let's go get this. Let's go do this even better than we're doing it now. If you have time, I have one final question for you. What do you say?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. I'm asking all guests this season, if there was one thing, material or otherwise, you could give to every teacher in the U.S. today, what would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Natalie, that's tough. I think probably what I would have to say is educators and particularly teachers, classroom teachers, have the opportunity to change the course of a child's life every minute of every day. We know we have children in schools who that educator or that teacher may be that one person who can be the encourager and can really turn life around for kids. And I think we've all learned from the pandemic and from COVID and, what we learned through online learning is that every single child is unique, right? And there's no one size fits all for every child. And that's what I love about the beauty of virtual education and online learning is it does provide that opportunity for flexibility and something a little different for those children who need something differently. So the one thing for educators would be, yes, you have the opportunity to change the course of a child's life, and that can be through not only what you say, but how you say it, that how very important that is for children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you're changing some educators' lives today with this conversation. I really do. It's very inspiring. And I think we've learned so much from you about collaboration, about thinking outside of the box and trying something new, and really keeping students at the center of all that we do, no matter how far from the physical brick and mortar classroom we might find ourselves, that everyone is still moving in that same direction of supporting kids. And that's really inspiring and really heartening. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your gift to teachers that you are and educators across the country. If folks are loving you and want to get in touch with you or hear more about your work, where can they find you, Edi?
Oh, righty. So Natalie, and before we end, let me say thank you to you. This has been so much fun, and it's so nice to share with other people who are doing the same types of work. And if anyone would like information about Low Country Virtual or the consortium and how we got started, we do have a website at lowcountryvirtual.org or lowcountryeducationconsortium.org. Also, you can email me at ECOX, that's ecox at lowcountryvirtual.org, or a phone number, 843-823-2186. And I am always happy to share, as you said, those flops, those failures, and anything about any of our successes. So thank you so much, Natalie.
Oh, this has been so fun. Thanks, Edi. Thanks for listening to this episode of SYS Presents Adventures in Online Education. Special thanks to my guest today, Edi Cox. Edi taught us that we don't do awesome work for students and families alone. We do it best when we work together and support one another, sharing both successes and failures, and aligning our work with high standards for quality. If you liked what you heard today, please hit subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. Want to connect? On Twitter, you can follow the show at SYS Presents. We love hearing from you. If you're interested in finding out more about SYS Education and our products and services, head to syseducation.org. Lastly, this podcast wouldn't be possible without our exceptional team at SYS Education, including our dream team consisting of sound engineer Natalie Farrell, graphic designer and social media and website manager Lexi Boren, and our producer, Bo Neal. Thanks for listening today, and remember, we can learn new things.
Thanks for listening.